recording and get going. So we did just send out an email for all of those who are maybe on Facebook and you're looking at your email through Eventbrite. So there's about 17 of you who we expect to see on this call. If for some reason, if you can't get in, I am looking at the attendees or in the participants column because you're supposed to come into a waiting room. So hopefully I get notified as we go along. So for any of you that are here on Facebook that are watching this presentation, feel free to ask any questions that you have. And what I'm going to do is look for those at the end. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover some opportunities for you that I'm really excited to present. So let me get started by sharing my screen. And I never know if it's going to share everything, so it probably just will. Okay, so what I want to start everybody with today is the first thing about why now. So before we get started on this presentation, and again, I am looking for those participants coming in who are going to be in the waiting room. So what I am looking to share with you all is current times and what is happening. So there's a couple of shocking facts that I want to share with you, and there's a few things that you likely already know about. So there are savvy investors going after blind pool funds. So what does that mean? That means the investors have no idea what kind of assets they're investing into. And those individuals have actually raised $1 billion in a 24-hour period recently to be able to fund, I don't know, self-storage, multifamily, triple net buildings. How do we know what it is? We don't. It's a completely blind pool fund. So in that situation, investors are just taking their money and putting it into something and without really knowing what it is, right? So people are making crazy decisions out there. You must have stringent standards for deploying your capital. Those standards should include 3 golden standard criteria. 1, the asset you're investing into is presently profitable as a project and clearly making profit from the day of closing. 2, there must be a playbook or a business plan blatantly showing a clear path to greater profitability that does not depend on the equities market conditions. And there must be hard evidence that this has actually taken place in the past, that there's been successful business plans. And then absolute operational excellence, proven expertise can and will drive the project's profit. So those are a couple of things that we wanted to bring to your attention, of course, right off the bat as we get started in this presentation. So what we're going to be doing is covering a couple of different things here. So these couple of different things, this one right here, I'm going to come back to and showing you a generalized plan, like a business plan that we normally do for each asset, because what you're looking at here is a semi-blind pool fund, which is not raising $1 billion. We are only raising 5 million total, and we already have over 1 million raised and soft commits for another $500,000. So we're well on our way there already. And what I get to do this evening is to share with you who we are, what we are and what we're doing, where we're doing it, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, and a little bit of an example of a business plan, because that's what you're going to want to see. Those are the most important things. Okay, so let's go over a couple of things that you'll need. So whenever you get involved with us, we want you to go to our webpage, right? So right here is the first place that you're going to go. It's theapartmentqueen.com. And so you're like, where do I get started? I want to know about these opportunities. You're going to want to go to the top here, the number one female-focused apartment fund. You'll go right there, and this will take you to the landing page for the fund. So that is where you're going to get a lot of this who, what, where, why, when from. So when you're on this page, what you're going to do is scroll down. So if you already know that you're an accredited investor and you want to invest, you click right here. If you already know you're not accredited and you're ready to invest, you just click right here, and it will take you to the coordinating portals. But if you want more information, this is the place that you're going to get them. Again, you can see it's apartmentqueen.com/fund. And again, if you're ready, you can just click those pop-ups or this join us here. So you get to invest, you get an opportunity to invest in the number one female-focused apartment fund. So we go after COVID-19 affected assets, and that means a variety of things. This talks a little bit about what we're doing here in building wealth for women and why we chose multifamily real estate. If you want me to really go over nitty-gritties, I'm not going to, just because we have more to cover, like our track record, I think is more important to spend time on, and then what it looks like when you are in the back ends of these portals, so you know where to go to invest. So whenever we are giving opportunities, we also have it packed with information, right? So I know that investors that want to get involved with us, they may not be super experienced, and that's okay. So because of that, this is why we're having these webinars. So we have an app, actually, like if you know nothing about real estate, if you know nothing about investing into assets and how that works, that's a basic place to get started, just to understand how it works in general, the structure, basically, looking at a profit and loss statement, understanding that instead of single family, where you happen to have a home that based on one renovation, you may be able to get some bang for your buck, hopefully 100% return on whatever it is you put in the house. Well, the way that it works here in multifamily is it's based on the net operating income of the property. And so it's a multiple. So there's a factor that makes the valuation go up on these properties. And so the app is basically meant to give you a general understanding that all commercial properties are valued the same way based on that net operating income. So NOI, I guess I could grab the screen for you. I'm not even going to show this, but NOI is what I'm talking about here. Net operating income is, sorry, I'll come back to that in a second. So basically this app gives you the idea that essentially that the income of the property based on a multiple by its cap rate is where we get our valuation of the asset from. So it's not based on individual opportunities to improve each unit or individual opportunities to improve the front facade of the house, or not the house, the multifamily home, but it is based on a multiple of income. So I'll show you that in a second, what that looks like. We have a female-led team hoping to change the face of real estate investing. We hope to create $1 billion invested by, for, and with women by 2030. And then what is an accredited investor? So that's who qualifies to invest first. So if you have a net worth of $1 million plus, if you're not, and that doesn't include your primary residence, if your annual income is $200,000 as a single person or $300,000 as a married person, or if you are an active investment advisor with your Series 6, 5, 7, 72, and 83 licenses, you're considered accredited, and any company with $5 million in assets that was not formed specifically for the purpose of making or purchasing, securities, which is what this is. So again, if you're not an accredited investor, that's cool, but you have to get involved by clicking on this form that says not accredited on the site, and it'll take you to the right place. So again, what are we doing with this fund? We're turning unprofitable properties into cash generating assets. And so we're doing it via a Reg D fund and also a Reg C, a crowdfunding opportunity that creates a couple of limited liability companies, and you have interests or basically shareholder rights to the actual company shares. So that's what we call shares, basically equal securities. So you're purchasing securities, which are shares of these companies. So the key information is right here. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but you can see right here what we're looking to do for the purchase price. It ranges, it varies based on a range of what we can get our hands on. Here is your return for preferred return at 7 to 7.25% preferred return, depending on your share class. I'll show you that in a second. And then again, it's a preferred return. So your investment summary, again, I'm not going to read this for you because it's extremely detailed in what it is that we're investing into, where it's located, what we distribute out of the net cash flow proceeds, how those are allocated, what members get and how to move forward, filling out your subscription documents, what it looks like for your turnaround on your subscription documents. You want to make sure that you're looking at the videos that we have down below for any questions you have on crowdfunding or a real estate fund in general, because maybe that's a gap in your knowledge, and that's okay. That's why we put that on here. And it talks a little bit about what your cash on cash range is, your equity multiple range is, assurances. We also work with a property class of C class properties, but it gives a range here. We're looking at a targeted hold from 3 to 7 years. And so I just say that we're looking to exit at a projected 5 years. And then, of course, the manager believes that the fund performance will be enhanced by focusing on cash flow and analyzing potential acquisitions. The manager will look for investments where a particular skill set may create a value acquisition throughout the holding period. So that means that a couple of skill sets we have, like it's strong ops for operations, for example, or if we have a individual who we believe is going to be able to make sure that our construction management progress is on time and executed properly, then we will take those skill sets that we have built and we'll employ that with our operations of this fund. And it goes through the use of the proceeds, the fund expenses, all those things are disclosed here. sale of assets, how that works, insurance, just a lot of information. So I suggest you go through that, but essentially that is a summary version of what is in your PPM or the Form C. It's a different form, but essentially it's your disclosures. So then any documents you want to look at are right here. So that just skipped on over. So right here, the documents you can click on these. And so this is, if you're an accredited investor, you'd be in the Vernafund 2506 side, 506C side. And then if you're in Vernafund 20 crowdfunding, this is going to give you information on that. So I will pop that up in 1 second. So the crowdfunding, I think, is what most people that are watching this don't know or understand very well. So I'll go over that lightly. And then, of course, our track record and progress, I believe, is very important. So let me open up this real quick. So this goes over what is a crowd fund. But while that loads, I'll go back to our our page, and continue on down the page as you would if you were exploring this on your own. And again, if you're not ready to invest, you can go ahead and just get qualified and sit on your hands. And I feel bad for you, because this is going to be the time in the next 12 to 24 months that we create the most wealth that we have in the last 5 to 6 years. And I'll go through that at the very end. So you want to see, like, hey, where are we invested? So it tells us here we're in Amarillo, Corpus Christi. We're looking in San Marcos, Killeen, Dallas, Austin, and other secondary markets in Texas. Our class, C class, with a distressed multifamily asset. So you can see our fund targets here, what you'd be getting for your internal rate of return, average annualized returns, and your equity multiple. Then down here, this is what when you're like, well, what share class do I select? What do I want? So this is the chart of how do you figure that out. So if you're an accredited investor, as we described above, then you'd be investing in the side. There's a button for this. On the side, it'll take you through Invest Next, right? So on that side, you have an A class or an A2 share class. So A2 is our mentors. So if you have a guy bringing in a female that wants to learn, she gets read-only access to his documents, all of his reporting, and anything that he gets to learn on in the portal, basically, she gets access to that as well. So as you can see here, we're doing an 80-20 split across the board of our proceeds, which is very generous. And then also, as you can see, the accredited investors are the ones in this project who are able to vote. Those that are not accredited, they cannot. And this is based on feedback from our bank that they would not allow us to be able to invest in these assets with that many small investors if there wasn't one voting special purpose vehicle, basically. So we can only allow accredited investors to invest at this time. And so those the minimum for accredited investors is 50,000. The minimum for right here, A1. So this is a non-accredited investor not bringing in a mentee. So ladies, so you can come in at 5K at a minimum, and then you're going to get 7% preferred return. Those other investors that are not accredited, your opportunity is based on your minimum at that point. So if you're going to be investing 25,000 or higher, depending, and the portal will let you know what you can and can't invest into. But basically you would be getting your 7.25% because you're a mentor and you're bringing in someone into the fund. You're just obviously going to get a higher return because you're putting in more money, right? And then those that put in less funds, but they're also a mentor, they're bringing in multiple women, they still get that 7.25% preferred return. And so just to like really squeeze this down for you, what that means is, so essentially if we make $100 in profit, right? So what we're going to have to do is we have, and the profit is after paying the bank, right? So then we have our shareholders that we have to pay. And so we split that profit 80-20, where 80% of it goes to investors, 20% goes to us. But before we split it like that, we actually take the profit and we take 7 to 7.25% off the top of those proceeds based on your ownership share in the full fund. And we cash you out, not cash you out, we pay you first. And then the 80-20 split happens. So if you need any more help on that to understand, we're happy to help you, but it's pretty simple. You make a profit after paying all your expenses. Then who gets paid first is all these investors based on their preferred return amount. So that gets paid up front before everybody else. And we make sure to do that first. And then basically what is remaining gets split 80-20, where 20% goes to the operations team that does everything. And then 80% goes to investors. So that should be pretty clear. And so that will help you when you're filling out your documents, knowing which share class you'd like. And so apartments are awesome, if you didn't know, because they boast a dependable income stream while providing multiple opportunities for forced appreciation. What does that mean? So for example, if we get into a property and we figure out that, okay, if we take all the 2-bedroom units and we fully renovate them, but leave everything else alone, and we're able to get a 100% return on investment within 24 months, and then we improve other parts of the property, and make it a whole new class of property. So C+ to B-. It'll improve the neighborhood, and long story short, improves the value of the property. And so we're forcing that by doing all these renovations that we have calculated best return on investment for each one in that first year. And that's our construction time frame. And so basically what we're doing is we're taking our properties from a unstabilized cap rate value to a stabilized cap rate value, and typically, not always, but sometimes refinancing and being able to pull the cash out to give that to our investors. And then basically, like I said, based on this forced appreciation, you have the property sometimes doubling, sometimes tripling, but it's a little aggressive. Let's just say doubling or less in about a year to 2 years. So it's incredible what we can do by working hard with our improvements on the property. So then also we make these ideal cash growth properties, and it's predictable and strong demand apartments in dependable asset class with strong returns for investors. Within this asset class, we typically target B or C apartments in great locations with a clear value add plan, like I mentioned, allowing for day one cash flow while also maintaining the ability to force appreciation. So you get both. You get cash flow, you get appreciation, you get tax benefits as well. And if I didn't mention earlier, even though that some people don't understand this, that this is a fund structure, but it doesn't matter because you still get tax benefits from this. So what happens next? Okay, so number one, we are how does this all work, right? So by reading this and by asking questions and watching these videos at the bottom, I'll show you, you're now educating yourself. So we're educating investors on how this entire thing works, right? How to invest in an apartment, how to invest in a fund that gets you access to distressed deals, which make great returns. They take a lot of work, but great returns. Then, obviously once you're educated, then we are already in the process of finding opportunities for you. So if you're an accredited investor, you can invest right away today. If you're looking to book a one-on-one call because you have questions, we can give you that link, of course. That'll be the link that I'm going to stick in the chat here. It's my 15-minute call link. If you're not accredited, then you go directly to the crowdfund website, which is, I'll show you in a second what that link looks like. So then, of course, once you're educated, you have opportunities, then your next thing to do is to invest in apartments. So again, you can get qualified here. We want to go over who is involved in this project. And so we've got me, the fund manager. So I have been involved with 72 million assets under management. We have gone full cycle on 3 properties, and we have purchased a total of 9. We're looking to replace those properties that have been sold right now. So quite a bit of experience here as construction manager, asset manager, lead investor a few times. And then moving forward, that's what it would look like. Also, not just sometimes property managing a little bit too, not that I like to admit that, but in the beginning, you kind of have to sometimes fix things and then make it easy for your team. So Silicon Prairie is part of our team as well. So this is where our crowdfunding portal is going to be held. Christy Seipel is also our CPA for our fund, for our overall filings for everything in our company, but also for this fund. Adnan Merchant, they did our Regulation D, and so they're our counsel for our accredited side of the fund. Dugan Kelly is over our crowdfunding offering. So, or Kelly Clark PLLC. They're going to be managing all of the filings for that. And then Sharina Wilson is our CFO. And so she specifically monthly gets our property level financials, gets them together for our financial reviews or audits that we have for the fund to create transparent financials. So that's another cool thing that we do, but it's required by crowdfunding. So all of our Reg D investors actually benefit from it as well. So we publish an annual audit that we do on our book. So essentially what that's doing is it's matching up all of our bank account records, credit card statements, and et cetera, with what is showing on our profit and loss statement and balance sheet. So you're able to know that what's happening on your balance sheet and profit and loss is real, and be transparent about it. So again, like I mentioned earlier, hey, I don't know what crowdfunding is. We'll come all the way down to the bottom of this page here. There's a video for you. So an hour and a half worth of what is a crowdfund, how does it work, what law applies, what is Reg D versus Reg C, who uses this. It's mission-driven businesses like ours, and so we want to take money from Wall Street and put it into Main Street. So that essentially is what you're looking at here. And then when it comes to what is a fund, like I find a lot of investors just don't have education when it comes to a fund, a real estate fund, or what questions they should be asking, what are the pros and cons. So we cover in here, for example, that this fund is a closed-end fund. So a lot of people understand an evergreen fund. And what that means is, for example, you put your money in and there's a projected time period. However, based on the documents, they can also invest your proceeds or profits into a parallel fund. And so they keep rolling and rolling and rolling. However, this fund right here that we're talking about today that we have is not that way. So when the 5 million is full, the fund is closed, those monies are already deployed into assets. And essentially based on the timing of the day when you invested, that is the timing of when you're going to receive your returns. We also cover some other things in here about reading your fund documents. So as far as projections, performance, where you can find in the documents, different payments to the team, we'll cover that in a second. But again, just a lot of disclosures and making sure that those that are crowdfunding investors that are not sophisticated or accredited, that they have as much information as they need to understand essentially what is it like legally raising money, and then also how are we doing that in a fund form. The fund essentially has a base bottom LLC type and security offering that makes up, so people hear the word syndication a lot, right? I'll give you an example. Syndications a lot are 506C or 506B offerings. And so this, one of the accredited side of this fund has a 506C offering available, securities offered that way. And so in that situation, we can only take accredited investors and advertise publicly that way. And so I wanted to also be able to publicly advertise to everybody else that couldn't get in the accredited side. So we went with crowdfunding and did a side-by-side offering. So we have two going on at the same time, and they both invest in real assets. You both get depreciation, bonus depreciation benefits as this year anyway, still. You get, so therefore tax benefits. Also, again, we look for properties that we can force appreciate, and you also get the cash flow from. So you get like a whole slew of benefits. And these two webinars that I have embedded in here cover a lot of that for you. And again, why would you want to invest with us, right? So benefits like consistent cash flow, reduced taxes, like I mentioned, doubling your investment, large economies of scale, which equals discounts and better returns. Real estate, by the way, if you didn't know this, has outperformed the stock market by approximately 2-to-1 since 2000. Hello, hi, wake up. It's time to do the right thing for your pocketbook. Earning 10.71% annually versus 5.43%. So risk-adjusted returns. When you invest in real estate actively or directly, just like this is, so again, it's direct into the asset itself or assets themselves, you're investing in a lot of responsibility in time. When you are actually actively doing it yourself, what I'm trying to say is you are investing a lot of responsibility in time also. So going with a vetted team, like I mentioned earlier, that has a track record is the way to do this. And so we're offering essentially our services to you to be able to give you the benefits that you would like. By investing in multifamily real estate, a fund like ours, you save yourself from the headaches of being directly involved with the deal, tenants, toilets, termites, etc. So there's much more to cover, but again, you need to know about our passion. I will cover that in a second when we go to the crowdfunding page, but this is the landing page where you're going to find a whole lot of information about who, what, where, why, when, what do I get? And so I wanted to make sure you knew where that was. Again, that is on our website at theapartmentqueen.com. So that is where you're going to find most of this info. And then also you have buttons already available on that site to be able to click on to be able to participate at whatever level you're at, whether you're accredited or you're not. So we just wanted to cover that first to make sure that you knew who, and then we're going to go into this deck, like I mentioned, like what is crowdfunding. We're not going to do a whole hour and a half on this because that would drive me crazy, but we're going to go ahead and cover a little bit about the thesis behind the crowdfund and what we're doing there. Oh, looks like we have a couple people on Facebook. Hey guys. All right, so let me go back over here. So if we're talking about this fund, again, I'm not going to go through every slide here, but we wanted to cover, actually first, let's go here. Let's cover this. So if you are, and I'll go back to the portals in a minute, if you are a non-accredited investor, this is where you're going to go. So this is telling you more about why we do what we're doing, a little bit about our company that's based in Texas, our track record, what we do when it comes to properties that are local, what our mission, vision, values are. So I'll just cover a little bit about that. We want to see, our passion is we want to see when women are free, and we can help women thrive by earning reliable passive income streams and decrease the impacts of poverty and abuse on women and their families by doing so. We want to create $1 billion invested by for and with women by 2030, and to provide educational resources such as the SheVest app and future aid to investors, such as our portals. So we have a Women Who Invest Council, and we have a portal of all of the investment education every month that we are teaching our investors and putting it in there. And I'm sure there's more that will come in the future. This goes through key financial facts and documents that you need. It'll also go through investment perks and the story. Okay, this is like the most important part of the moment that I jumped off a cliff and said, I've got to do something. So I'm going to try to get this video to audibly work for you. And if we can get it to work, then okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kaylee McMahon, founder of the Apartment Queen, the #1 female-focused multifamily investment firm. We are creating 1 billion she-investors by 2030. Take a minute to take this in. I know it's shocking. It shocked me as I received this message on my phone, or several messages on my phone. And the sad part that I hate to admit is that I didn't know how to help my friend get out of this situation. I'm embarrassed to admit that. I offered her a room in my home and she still didn't come and stay with me. And I didn't understand why until I did a little bit of research and understanding. So let's talk about that. Why is there a problem here? 2 shocking facts I'll share with you. 1/3 of all women are abused. 98% of domestic violence victims are also experiencing financial abuse, which is a longer lasting damage. And financial abuse is the result from knowledge being withheld. Abuse equals power, equals financial power over women. What are we doing about it? So we are empowering women by giving them access to life-changing passive income from apartment investments. This is reducing poverty. We're also empowering females to be part of the sponsor team to change the image that you see here. We are also giving investment education to women through tech. And there should be no more fear of money like I experienced. And you should be able to understand, therefore be empowered. My personal solution to get out of abuse was cash flowing real estate. So I'm no longer a victim. Why apartment real estate? It's the #1 fastest way for her to build wealth and financial freedom. Women thrive with secure investments. And as you can see, the industry is huge and it's unlimited. How does our business model work? Good apartment deals are found by female sponsors. They are funded 3 ways, and she-investors get paid their money as it grows 4 different ways. How do we make money? Through acquisition, asset management, construction fees, and cash flow from equity ownership. Who do we serve? Your sisters, your aunts, your wives, any female in your life who are all queens. Imagine that somebody could invest in a crowdfunding offering that we have for as little as $700 on average. And we've also sliced our minimum in half for our fund compared to the industry average. So we're able to grow the total wealth with women right now that we have from 22 billion to 44 billion. Why would you choose us in this venture? Because we're the best fit. You want to know why? Because I personally have raised $3.5 million myself in the last 18 months. We have over $20 million raised from all of our investors as a team. You can see our experience here. This is not our first rodeo. And imagine a world where you do not have to hear that when someone's living in abuse, planning and goal setting is so foreign to your life, you just need to get through the day. I want to see more pictures like this before and after that you see here. I want abuse to no longer subject victims of abuse to poverty, financial insecurity, or persistent fear. If we could learn to teach survivors how to navigate the maze of the financial world, the rest of their lives may not seem so daunting. Now, what do we need from you? We need $5 million. What is this for? It is for our female-focused fund, 1. 2, it is for our app to educate more she-investors, is what we call them. And where are we getting this money from? We're getting it from accredited individuals such as yourself, female crowdfunders, impact angels and investors, women minority-owned funds, and female-owned family offices. You do not want to miss this opportunity.
All right. So again, you do not want to miss this opportunity. So we went a little bit through who, we went a little bit through what and where, and now we went through our why. So why are we doing this? Again, I wanted to explain that this is a mission-driven fund. So this fund is not just simply for making profits. This fund is also for doing good for your community. And so you get to directly impact those that are in the fund, working with and for the fund, those that are investing in the fund, and learning from their mentors that are in this with them. And so we've got, for example, one dad that's got 5 daughters that he just decided to start an LLC, put them in there. And so they all get access read only to his investment documents, which is awesome. And so when women understand, then they no longer have fear of that certain type of investment. So I do suggest that you go to this page to be able to learn a little bit more about, our mission, because again, crowdfunding is a lot more mission driven than just getting involved in any kind of syndication. So we chose to take non-accredited, non-sophisticated investors through this crowdfund. It's taken a lot of time, 7 months, for us to finally get here and be able to have this live and ready to go. And again, it goes through our team and everybody that we have on here. And again, restating here, if you're in the crowdfunding portal, this is where you're going to go get those hour-and-a-half long webinars that are pre-recorded from the past. So this is currently a page that we are taking soft commitments on. And so we already filed our Form C. And so it's been accepted. And so essentially it'll take a couple more days to get this live to take funds. But right now we have 24 investors invested in this, or soft committed to this side of the fund. And we've got a couple more million to raise. So we need to see your commits in there. Again, you just log in, register, put your level of commitment in there. And then basically as soon as that is live, then your spot is saved in line and you're able to get into this fund for way less, 10 times less the historical minimum that you had to invest in the past. So we went a little bit over what is going on in this fund. I want to reiterate because I don't know if I was clear on what we're investing in, because I want to be super clear on that so that everyone walks away going, I get it. So again, we're investing in dependable asset classes, B and C apartments with strong returns for investors. Within this asset class, we're looking for great locations. So we're looking in Texas with a value add plan that is clear that we've made in our business plan, allowing for day one cash flow while also maintaining the ability to force appreciation. So that is what, again, our assets we're looking to invest in are 1 to 20 million. That is 1 to 1,000 doors a piece that we're investing into in this fund. And then there was a section that I think I just breezed over as well that I want to be super clear on, is that where are we investing? So again, in Texas, but we are already invested in Amarillo and Corpus Christi. We're looking in San Marcos, Houston, Killeen, Dallas, and surrounding cities, Austin, secondary markets in Texas. And again, we're looking for Class C distressed multifamily. So those that have been affected by COVID are perfect examples of something that there's something wrong with the business plan, cash ran out, whatever it is, and we can get in there and fix it. And again, we have 2 offerings for you, a Reg D offering and a Reg C or CF offering crowdfunding. So you would be going into the crowdfunding option if you're not accredited. If you are accredited, you're going into the Reg D side through InvestNext portal. So if you are not accredited, you're going in right here into this page, which is the Apartment Queen. I'm hoping that you can see this. Theapartmentqueen.com. Theapartmentqueen.sppx.io. That is where you go if you are looking to invest as a non-accredited, non-sophisticated investor. And then also learn more about our mission, vision, and values. And so this fund, again, what qualifies as accredited? You can read it right here. I read it off earlier, but I go pretty fast sometimes. So we want to just make sure we are talking about the fund is going into multifamily assets, exactly what it's going into. Again, this investment summary down here actually walks you through everything in high detail. That's essentially going to be in your Form C. So that's like equivalent to a private placement. So you're looking at your term sheet and your Form C basically for what you're getting involved in. So it's a little bit different language for a crowdfunding offering, but essentially all your info is here. And again, you can see that this is going to the non-accredited, well, either one, actually, it's all the same investment strategy. The key information is actually the same as well. And these documents, again, remember I said if you're going into the Reg D 506C fund, this link first one is for you. Let me open that up in a new tab so you know what's in there. So this is going to open up a presentation for you similar to what we're about to cover, but it would be a little more specific to Reg D. And so our Vernafund 20 crowdfunding. So this is second link is for the crowdfund. I'm going to go over that presentation in a second. Like, what are we targeting? How do we find our assets? I'm going to get really into the nitty gritty of what you're investing into. And we already covered where. So, and then our track record and progress, that's going to be the last thing that we cover, along with what the backside of your investor portal is going to look like. So let's go into our Vernafund and then our track record. So Vernafund CF crowdfunding. So it's a female-focused multifamily value add crowdfund. So we kind of already covered a lot of this, but hey, I'm Apartment Queen Investments. We create wealth and education for women in multifamily real estate, and we are an experienced operator team with over 72 million assets under management. And we are only investing in landlord, business, and tax-friendly states. We are focused in Texas. That is, again, where we're investing. And we've got some big goals, but we need your help to be able to achieve these goals. So what does that look like? 150 additional million assets under management by 2023. And with your help, we can create $1 billion invested by, for, and with women by 2030. So this is our org chart, and we have to disclose this to you so that you can see the crowdfunding has to direct its funds directly into the asset. You can see that here, that the real address is what receives the funds. The real address carries normally a company that's a member managed company, and the member managed company is going to be invested into by this crowd fund. So if you, for example, are investing as a partner, I mean, I could get into details, but I won't. But this org chart, you need to look this over. So if you like this presentation, you can text me 214-699-8810, Vernafund CF. PowerPoint, like I'd say PPT, and I'm happy to send you this link. It's on a online player. So basically, again, like I mentioned, the ownership shares that you get are called securities. So the securities being offered for purchase are membership shares in this situation of Vernafund CF LLC. Vernafund 20 is investing directly into Vernafund CF LLC as one of the SPVs of Vernafund 20 LLC. So what that means is, well, that's what that means. Vernafund CF is investing directly into the real estate via Vernafund 20 LLC. Again, via theapartmentqueen.sppx.io, and this is for the non-accredited crowdfunding offering. So that is basically the structure of where the funds are flowing. I wanted to be super clear about that. Also, it's important to disclose a lot more information. For example, fees. You need to know about us and our fees. So the sole member or sole manager is APQ Fund Manager LLC. They're the sole manager of Vernafund 20. The manager oversees the fund accountant, the annual audit production, asset selection, partnerships with vetted and carefully selected sponsors. That's really key because we actually do a pretty hardcore deep search on these individuals, and or we partnered with them before any of the monies ever get sent to another offering or another investment opportunity. So for example, if I find another woman that I have known for a long time, we've done business before, she finds an apartment first, it's her offering, we're going to come together with these funds to be able to invest in an all-female executive-led team. So fees, let's get there, right? So it's a 1% acquisition fee of the entire fund's value. So versus a asset-based investment. So an asset-based fee, acquisition fee, is typically market of 2 to 5% fee, and that is of the asset. So for example, if we were to go with this fund size, the 5 million could be leveraged to about 20 million in asset purchases, give or take some. So that would mean that we would actually, if we were going to invest in that deal alone, we would be taking 2 to 5% we would be taking 2 to 5% in fees of the asset's value. So 2 to 5% of 20 million versus we are taking our acquisition based on the entire size of the fund, not the assets purchased. So it's an incredible savings on that fee, the acquisition fee. So second fee is 2% fund asset management of gross receipts for each asset. So that means that we are managing the assets as well. So far I have been a general partner in every asset we've invested into, and that's for protection and for voting purposes, but also because that individual will be receiving 2% of the monthly gross to be able to pay for the asset management fees. And this is again on each asset. We also charge a 5% construction management fee. We've seen 10% of a asset management fee per asset. And again, this is of the full fund size. And so this actually has been something that we have thought to forego. We can take it, but again, we're fiduciaries and our job is to make sure that everyone gets paid their projected amount. So this is essentially optional depending on the team that we're partnering with and the fees that they're already collecting. And so then also, as mentioned, Silicon Prairie is our crowdfunding portal, which is required by FINRA. So they will be taking 3 to 6% of the raise as a fee to be able to host on their platform. Let's talk about the problem we're solving. That's the big thing here, right? So what we've seen is less than 30% of commercial real estate industry or executives are female. Why does that matter? Again, this is a Forbes statistic. So 83% of CRE or commercial real estate boards and executives are white men. Yet, this is weird, the biggest wealth growth industry or wealth production industry out there, 93% of wealth is created through real estate, right? And so why would the executives be that much of a skew in the direction of all white men? And then the 17% is literally everybody else. So we think from a standpoint of biological balance that it should be at least 50% men and 50% women. And that's what we're pushing for. The only way we can do that is by empowering women and making sure that they're in leadership roles, making sure they're learning this stuff and they're getting involved with their moms, their dads, their cousin, their uncle, whoever it is that is already invested in this industry or invest with us to be able to teach them about what they do. Again, when women know When women know, we're not afraid and we will make a move and we will invest. So we already know there's a wealth gap, right? In like every industry period. And so the wealth gap obviously also exists between men and women in commercial real estate. So I believe that this pattern that we're seeing and the way that the individuals that are succeeded by others, the way they're selected, is that's going to continue to perpetuate this problem. So we believe that is truly based on information due to few women having access to ownership opportunities. You know, we take secretarial positions, we end up being property managers, we end up being the CFOs, the accountants, the everything that makes the property run except for the name and the face on the deal. So we believe that we want to change that to stop perpetuating this wealth gap issue that we see. But also by giving women more opportunities to own CRE or commercial real estate, then we're going to be able to solve this problem. But how can we do that if they have less capital or if they will invest smaller amounts? Well, we just basically take the barrier to entry that's super high at 50,000 average minimum investment, and we lowered that amount. So our average minimum investment for our unaccredited investors is $5,000. That's how I got started investing passively in real estate notes. So my very first investment was an old retirement account that I had. I rolled over, added some money to it, and to this day, I make 8% month over month, and I don't do jack anything. And I also get tax benefits from it as well. So it's been wonderful to have passive income, K1 income. And again, if women have access because of the barrier to entry being lowered, so the capital required is lowered. And then also we're able to get rid of the status requirement. So if you don't have the cash, and if you're also not qualified, you can't invest. So for example, what I mean by qualified, earlier I mentioned accredited investors. That's a qualified investor, and a sophisticated investor is another kind of investor. So basically we took away the high minimum and we took away the accredited status and qualified status requirements. And so then your grandma can invest, the firefighter down the corner from you can invest, the teacher that you know with a teacher retirement savings plan, she can move those funds over into real assets that are not going to depreciate and go anywhere. Or for example, you're seeing inflationary factors with our currency. We're not going to see our assets do anything but benefit from inflation and then continue to appreciate over time. So we've got to get women into these executive roles, positions, and also ownership positions because by having less capital and not having to be an accredited, sophisticated investor. So we know that women know that we know that women know. Anyway, women know they need to build wealth. That's obviously an obvious thing. So whether it's you need to build wealth for your family, long-term for yourself, women know that, right? And then we also notice women have few women have access to opportunities in commercial real estate because of the factors I mentioned before. And again, the other problem is women make less money than men in commercial real estate. So what's up with that? What's our solution to this problem? Okay, so investors and investors who want strong, stable, passive returns can simply create a profile on our portal and get access to deals they couldn't access before. So again, like I mentioned, you don't have to be accredited. You don't have to have 50K. If you have less than that, you know, obviously we can service you and we can help you to start getting on that compound interest curve today. Number two solution is that fund members are financially empowering women who are operating the apartment deals. So like I mentioned, we have an all-female executive team. And when we go invest in any other apartment deal, again, it is led by women executives. And that is our focus because, again, we want to have other women see with their eyes, oh, you look like me. And so what you're doing, I can do. I can pick up a tool set. I can evaluate spreadsheets. I can do all the things and create more wealth for myself and my family. Solution number three is that fund limited partners also, of course, not only are doing good, but they also receive mailbox money and tax incentives because they're owners of the actual physical asset shares. And so these, remember that these tax incentives and making money are also making women more money in additional to their wages. So this is helping to compensate for that wage gap that we see, also financially empowering women. So what do I mean? So again, not only are our investors being able to make mailbox money and tax incentives, but also this is helping women that might have a job, for example, to be able to make more money passively by investing in this manner where we don't have to have as much to invest. They can continue to work and focus on their job, but they're going to increase their real estate owned. They're going to be able to increase their personal financial statement and be able to use that later on as experience and qualifications to get other mortgages and have more liquidity on their statement or more assets in their statement of real estate on. So anyway, it benefits women who are working to be able to get into these kinds of things because not only are you making mailbox money, but being able to participate and close this kind of a fund, you're letting women be able to make passive income also while working. So as we mentioned earlier, 98% of women, so that 1/4 of women are abused, and 98% or all of those individuals are financially abused. And here's the thing, financial abuse is insidious. It's not really obvious. You're not going to see scrape marks on your face. You're not going to see someone show obvious signs, right? It's more in the fact that when we don't know and power to have capital, to grow capital, and to know where to find capital and make capital, that being withheld from a woman is financial abuse. So if you're in a relationship, or if you're like me living in a family situation where you are not allowed to have a checkbook, you're not allowed to have a bank account for the working years of your young life, that was one sign looking back, that I was being controlled and not able to actually have control of my own capital, my own funds. And welcome to the world. We are in a capitalistic society. So when you are not in control of your own financial destiny, you don't understand how money works, where it sits, how to make it, how to preserve it, etc. You're being financially abused, and also you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. So we want to change that and empower women. And what that will also do is reduce abuse, because again, like I mentioned, all of the women that are abused are also financially abused. So if you can take care of your finances, then you greatly reduce your chance of any kind of other abuse that you go through. So imagine, dads, you can help your daughter not get abused ahead of time. Here we go. Okay, so market demographics. You may ask us, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty of exactly what in the heck we're investing into here. So we have a 5-prong approach to exactly what we're investing in. It has to have 3 of these 5 factors. And if it's an ideal deal, it's going to have all 5. 1, it's got to have population growth dependent on the market size above a certain amount. It has to have median household increase. So median household income increase, again, above a certain amount here, depending on the size of the MSA or metro statistical area. 3, we need to see a median house condo value growth. And 4, we need to see job growth percentage by age. And then crime decrease. So all these metrics you can see in the paragraphs here, I'm not going to read them, are based on certain criteria depending on the size of the market. If we hit the mark, if we don't. But point is that the 5th one is crime decrease. So these are all the things that we need to see happening to this asset to be able to make it profitable. So the biggest thing, if we, like I said, see 3 of these happening, then we're going to dig deeper and we're going to get involved with the asset. And like I said, if it had 4 or 5, slam dunk deal all day long. So how do we select the properties we invest in? Again, our criteria that we currently go by is we want 60 units or larger. We're looking for a motivated seller. We're looking for a property that is 1970s or newer. We are looking for properties currently only in Texas. We just say Phoenix because we have one asset there still that we have to sell. Who knows? It could be a seller carry. So we just got to stick that in here. But we're going after only Texas with this fund. We're looking for primary markets only unless 70% or greater unrenovated units. We're looking for C or better class properties, and we're looking to hit about a 6 cap rate minimum. We've hit 5.5, 5.8, 6, whatever it is that's around that. But that is what we're looking to hit. Like I mentioned, we want 70% plus units classic, meaning not updated, minimum. We also need at least 10% of, so all the floor plans, we need those, every single one of those floor plans to be at least 10% below market rate. So 10 to 15% below market is our requirement when we're looking for the properties we're selecting. So to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what we're sitting at now, about 70 million assets under management. We have about 1,000 doors with that number. We've serviced over 400 investors in our portfolio. These are a couple properties that we have had. The 2 on the bottom right have sold. The top one is for sale. The bottom one down here, we just sold. This top one right here, we just actually got an offer last week that's verbal. I'm waiting for a real offer. So these are amazing properties to get involved in. And like I said, the fund is going to be delivering 1.75x multiple to your investment minimum. So what does that look like? That, say, for example, you put in $100,000, you're going to walk away with $175,000 plus K1 tax benefits at a minimum. So pretty great way to keep your money safe while things are happening with the stock market and your currency by sticking it into real assets. So again, with this phase of this crowdfunding raise, how it's going to work is you need to review those documents on that page to be able to know what you're investing into. The summary is sufficient for now while you're soft investing or you're soft committing. And then also if you're accredited, you're going to actually review your documents in the other portal. I'll show you in a second. That one is Invest Next. And then basically in crowdfunding, this side, we're going to be raising a minimum of 107,000. And then our maximum target is 1,070,000, because that is, let's just say we're going to do that in rounds. So what we're looking to do is basically $1 million at a time, raise the remaining 4 million that we need in this fund to close it down. And again, the preferred returns for investors that are investing is 7%. So we pay all of the debts off first, and then 7% to 7.25% off the top for our investors as preferred return. Again, 7.25% are for those that are mentors that are bringing in women to get into their portal. Those investors simply, when you have the field in your documents for an email for a spouse, whether it is a spouse or not, it's just another female in your life, you're going to be putting her information right there, and we'll be adding her as read-only to the portal so she can see everything. And she has the opportunity to give us a report on how it's going quarterly for us to be able to give you an extra incentive that I haven't actually haven't released yet. So, but she'll basically be able to give us feedback on how the program's going and get you into further programs for an even smaller investment and the higher preferred return and priority as well. So distributions to investors, you're probably asking that, like, how the heck does that work? When do I get them? I mentioned earlier that what we do is a value add period. So we get in there and we fix all the crap that's broken, basically, and we give ourselves a year to do that. And then we start paying investors out quarterly after that point. We're looking to target 9 to 13% minimum cash on cash return, 15% minimum internal rate of return. And like I already said, 1.75 equity multiple minimum. Again, what does that look like? With the multiple, you put in 100K, you come back with 175 plus your K1 tax benefits. If you're watching this and you're a real estate professional, you also get passive loss. There's no passive loss limitation. So for example, if you're savvy or your accountant is savvy and you figured out, oh, I've made $10 in income and I have a $10 K1 loss because of what I invested into this project, that means I net zero basically in what I have to pay in taxes. This is just an example. I'm not a CPA. This is not like real life. You have to talk to your CPA about that. If you are a real estate professional, considered a real estate professional. And then, for example, if you made $10,000 or $10 in this example, and then you had $10 in K1 loss your first year, which, by the way, that's normally, you'll always see a negative number on your K1 statement when you get it. That's good year one, because again, that's when we're doing all the work and you want to take advantage of this kind of like low amount of the value of the property to offset your other taxes. Again, if you're a real estate professional and you had $10 that you had to be taxed on for your income, and you made $11 in your K1 losses, then you now have an extra $1,000 in this example of passive loss. So if you're a real estate professional, you can actually pass that off to your spouse and or partner, and they can actually then offset their active income as well. So it's really important this year to get involved. If you are a real estate professional, if you build houses, if you sniff houses, if you, do any kind of architecture, if you're in school studying, architecture, if you're out there working in a fund, if you do Verbos and Airbnbs and like anything that's real estate related, I would talk to your CPA about this, because this is the last year actually that you get to take advantage of 100% bonus depreciation. So take advantage of what I just said here. And so this is a really important time, if you are a real estate professional, to get off your butt and to read these pages of information and to start investing now. Again, even in small amounts, anyone can do it. I did it at 22. You can do it, right? And when I got started, that's why, maybe I look really young. I am, and at heart. But the point is I got going, right? So you've got to get going. You cannot be analysis paralysis here. Trust the team with a track record and move forward. So what are our goals with Vernafund 20? So again, 15% internal rate of return minimum. We are targeting this range of doors when we're making a purchase with our funds. So we're looking at units that are 25, and we just put this into the documents just in case we needed to buy a portfolio of smaller ones. That does happen with one package or portfolio sometimes, but normally our units are 60 plus. But so it says in the documents, we are targeting 25 units to 1,200 units and priced at 500,000 to 15 million. Again, it can go up technically to 20 million based on the type of leverage that we get. So we just want to know, like, what are we targeting to buy here? And again, it's a semi-blind pool fund. So I'll show you on the Invest Next login, I'll show you what it looks like for those investors that are back there, and they can see what has already been in the fund, because again, semi-blind. So you get to see what we do invest in, but we get to make the decision on what that is. And it has to fit in that criteria, the box of what we're showing you right now. Again, our exit target is 5-year sale at least. We want to at least get 75% returns to that 1.75 equity multiple that we mentioned. Those are our goals for you. So what does the next step look like for investing? If you're a crowdfunding investor, go to that webpage that I already said. It is theapartmentqueen.com/fund. You click on the buttons, whether you're accredited or you're not, and it will take you to the right portal, essentially. So that's what it says. Step one, if you're ready to review offering documents, which is the first thing you got to do, and you got to go quick, you would click on those links on the landing page. If you'd like those links, I'm going to give you a phone number. Ready? Pause. I'm going to give you a phone number. If you're like, which one do I click on? I don't know. I'm here to help you and be your superwoman. So what do you do? Okay. So if you are wanting to, if you're accredited, you have to text 214-699-8810, the word accredited. And if you are not accredited and you text 214-699-8810, not accredited, I will send you the links to each portal so that you're able to go review those documents and move forward with your investment. And then once you submit your application, then you will be in the running basically to get into the limited amount of shares that are in this offering. And that is also when you submit your application, we are taking applications to the fund based on the amount of your reservation. So first, actually, for your history of investing with us, you get first priority. Second, for the level of investment. And then third, the date that you get your subscription or your submitted application, basically, so it's called a subscription, into us. So the faster you get in there, the more shares you have available to purchase, and the more opportunity, because we only have a tranche or a set amount of the fund that actually can be invested into by those individuals that have only $5,000 or $5,001. There's only a set number of shares for that. So you actually need to get on that. And then obviously on the accredited side, it's the same way. We've kind of split the funds, not in even, but there are limits, to the amount of shares available for each share class. And again, it's very important that we do a disclaimer for you. Again, no investment, divestment, or other financial decisions or actions should be based solely on the information in this presentation. Actual results will vary from projections, and such variations may be material, including the possibility that an investor may lose all of its invested capital. As always, investments via regulation crowdfund, and there's no guarantee of success. Investors are advertised to consult their own attorneys, please. It's always great to have someone that, literally listen to me here. And attorneys that are watching me right now hate me, but just go get a free consult. Literally, call up a securities attorney and have them overlook your investment documents, not this PowerPoint, but the actual investment documents if you need help. And I would suggest that. Again, they're also good as well as financial planners prior to investing, and nothing contained herein should be taken as legal, financial, or investment advice. Thank you. So we have covered now who we are, what we're doing, where we're doing it, why we're doing it, and now we're going to go into where online and when. So let me exit off of this. And again, this is that page that you need on our website to get in front of this. So I'm going to show you two things. This is our track record. And the second thing I'm going to show you, the last thing I'm going to show you is in the portal for those accredited investors, so they know what it looks like. Because I've already shown you what the Silicon Prairie crowdfunding platform looks like to invest in. So I will skip over a lot of stuff here because we've already gone through a lot of it, and I don't want to take up your entire night. And I see some questions in the chat box, so I'm going to answer those. Introduction. So again, our mission, vision, values. We are going to create $1 billion invested by, for, and with women by 2030 and create financial independence for women. And our mission is to stop abuse and toxic codependent relationships by providing convenient education to women about how to create wealth and investment opportunities. Okay, so this is all of our values. I'm not going to read this off, but net, radical transparency, open-mindedness. We keep our word. Integrity is a must. Mental health and family are a huge priority for us. So that is something that we're okay talking about, but that's just a little bit about our culture. So again, what problems are we solving? We already went over a couple of these. We just want to see 83% of the industry is white male in multifamily for executives that make the most. Why isn't it 50% women and 50% men? I don't know. The other problem, again, you can't invest unless you're qualified as accredited or sophisticated in multifamily real estate, which is the most stable class of assets ever. You need to, here's another problem. You need to have 50K minimum to invest. Again, compound interest creates real, true, long-lasting wealth. And so if you have to wait until you're 45 for your IRA to have 50K in it, you've missed out on your entire life of compound interest. Maybe you're someone that hasn't invested in a syndication or in a fund because you're afraid of fraud or syndicators losing your money. So we'll go over the solution to that in a second. You don't want to make Wall Street richer. Yeah, that's a problem. We agree. We also don't want to miss out on ownership the tax benefits that you get. So sometimes in a real estate investment trust or investing in just a piece of paper like the bank, you don't actually have interest in the real property. And so that's where you get your tax benefits from. So that may be a problem that you've incurred in the past. Also, there's got to be an easy way to get educated on the risks and benefits of real estate and to show individuals opportunities that are out there. And in addition, another problem we see is women are always taught to save and donate, not to invest. So we're changing that. Here's a fun statistic. 61% of women would rather talk about their own death than money. And 60% of women cited not enough knowledge is the reason why they don't invest. So we're here to change this. So again, our solutions. So basically, if you didn't know, it's not only not really fair for the scales of fairness of gender, let's put that aside, right? What's remaining is the economic impact of being able to have a diverse set of founders, executives, and leaders in a company. In a minimum, 30 to 60% we see in funds. So what I'm saying is that when you look at fund managers, they overperform typical fund managers when they're women by 30 to 60%. So 30 again is the industry average. I'm going to stick with that number because I always try to go more conservative. Our investors can also invest. Here's another solution if they're not considered a qualified investor. So again, you don't have to be accredited. You don't have to be sophisticated. Call up your grandma and let her know that she's got an opportunity to do something with your funds that were not spent from your retirement, from your HSA, or were not spent from your college fund, for example. You can tell grandma all day long that she qualifies to be able to do that. Awesome. And then again, I want to reiterate this all day long. Every partner, lender, manager, etc., anyone that is on our team is highly vetted by a trusted, results-proven, referral-only structure that we have in place. Again, I have learned quite a bit in my young career, and one of the biggest things is we only work with people that come through a trusted referral who has actually either partnered with them and paid that individual before, or we have already worked with them before. So it has to be a highly vetted individual, and we also run deep search on everybody that we get involved with. So that's another thing to know. So we truly know who we're partnering with on these things. It's not just like, oh, you're my buddy, let's do stuff. It's like, no, we're creating a real company here that is going to scale to make an impact in the community and be able to be a B-type self-running business. This is big stuff here, serious. And again, we improve communities in your backyard, because I think a lot of those that are watching right now are from Texas, or at some point have lived or know something about Texas and want to actually improve their own community. Also, again, you are an owner and a partner in these deals that you get the tax benefits from. So that is a huge, huge thing that we solve for you, again, is being able to give you actual real ownership. And then, like I mentioned, those that may not be interested or maybe scared of investing in a syndication because of losing your money. Again, I already mentioned that we vet highly, deep search every partner, lender, manager, etc. And we have a referral, trusted results proven referral only network that we work with. And again, solving some issues where women may avoid investing is because they lack the education. We have a monthly meetup where we cover investing education. We also have these pages and websites that have very clear information. I also do presentations on a regular basis at different financial institutions. I'm doing some at 3 different colleges coming up here pretty soon so that we can get started young with their mothers, and anything that we can do to make sure that this education is well known. Like a lot of people go, I didn't know that I could own an apartment. Yes, you can, all day long. And so we're making this as equitable as possible. And again, our goal is to create $1 billion invested by foreign with women by 2030. And we are bringing, again, money from Wall Street into Main Street by improving your community. So our competitive edge, we kind of already went over this, so I'm not going to go over this. I'm also not going to read this, but if you want to know our whole business model, who the key partners are, resources, channels, revenue streams, marketing, etc., this is for you. And again, our market sizes that we typically go after are a minimum of 100,000 people in the population. These are communities that we are already invested in, or we are currently working on getting a deal in. So these are great places to have an investment. Again, this is me. I'm not going to read my whole bio, but I've kind of covered it a couple of times. Got a lot of experience when it comes to asset management, construction management, when it comes to being KP or key principal, signing on loans for our properties. Also kind of being a negotiator when it comes to workouts. Learned a lot there. When it comes to turning around an asset that may be in distress. We have an entire process and team for that. So I've learned quite a bit by having a lot of very hands-on experience. And then what are the nitty-gritties of like what our property management company needs to be showing performance-wise every week to achieve our goals. So I have quite a bit of experience there. I've been doing this for 5 years, and basically the thing earlier lied. I've raised almost 6.7 million at this point in time, and we've got a couple more million to raise. And there's a couple properties that I am key principal, general partner, asset manager, construction manager, and again, a little bit much, sometimes the property manager, being involved with them. So the management team, this is what we have set up as a structure for our company. As I mentioned, we want to make sure that we have an infrastructure to support any of these assets, and especially this fund going forward. Something I've learned is that a fund is not an easy thing to set up. It requires a lot of visibility and a lot of accounting. So again, because we're engaging in a crowd fund, this gives us the opportunity to create an annual audit that we're going to go ahead and give to our Reg D investors as well. So those accredited investors that normally don't get that. Normally, when you are an accredited investor, the only way that you get to see financials is by basically asking the team if you can get access to financials, auditing their financials, paying for that audit yourself. I've seen all of this, right? And so instead, we just want to be upfront and have those available for you. And if you're a crowdfunding investor, that will be uploaded into your portal. Like I said, on an annual basis, you'll also have monthly reporting as usual. Our investors are used to that. You'll get a full financial package. I believe it's around 150 pages of balance sheet, profit and loss, accounting. You'll also see all of the rent roll, I mean, I can go on forever. Very heavy amounts of information every month that you can go through, and you can look at everything that's happening, even down to like a certain software we use where there's a location report. You can see on the invoices per unit how many doorknobs went in and how much did that cost, etc. It'll break it down itemized. So a lot of information so that you as an investor are kept abreast of what's happening with your investments. Again, we're building out a team over here that works with managing construction, managing property management regionally. We also have an internal CFO. She makes sure that we have high vis on our assets in the fund, and procures our reviews and financial audits every year. And then also we have an attorney that we really trust, again, on this asset, and another one. And then we have a team that does all of our marketing and our ads and most of our web development on our team. So these are the acquisitions that we have currently either purchased and sold or purchased. And so basically this is where the 1,000, it's a little less than that, come from. So we are in Amarillo, we are in Corpus Christi, we're in South Dallas, we're in Houston, we're in West Texas, Fort Worth, Denton, and then Phoenix, and then I feel like I'm missing one on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope, this is all of them. So we're just going after 6 that just fell out of contract this week. So we get to take advantage of these deals that are losing value right now because some people don't know how to be flexible with loans by having our fund and funds to deploy immediately. So this is an important slide that I want you to see. So for example, you can see the exit returns and what we did actually make on our projections. So you want to see, most people that are investing want to see our track record, right? So these are the 9 deals. And you can see that on the Aspen, Century Tree, Village East Apartments, which we changed that name, that we actually exited. There's some notes here, and you can see that our performance is 1.96 multiple, a 1.5 to 1.96 multiple there. And then we have, like I said, our property in Phoenix that is for sale right now. So we'll trade another one soon here, and we just got an offer on our Fort Worth one. So we'll get to report those performances. We actually report quarterly together in person with all of our investors. We have a quarterly lunch here in Dallas, and I may start doing one in Houston because we do have a lot of investors from Houston. But it's really important for our investors to see that we actually have a track record, that we have exited, and that we are continuing to do so. And we obviously have to replace these assets that we are selling. So that is why we're continuing to purchase. So I'm not going to go over the full business model, but typically this is what we are doing. We are looking to source our deals, analyze, turn in a letter of intent. We want to pool funds together from investors. We'll put up our risk capital for the asset itself. We're going to close and start renovations and work on that for about a year. For 12 months, we're value adding and we're improving our net operating income. Net operating income is the value divided by the cap rate. So you can do the math on, if we bump up the NOI, what that does to the value of the property, forcing appreciation. We start quarterly distributions after the value add is finished. And we begin a refinance process if there is one, and start conversations with a broker to list and sell for a significant return, near 100% return in the past. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but again, this is that 5-prong approach of market validation that I mentioned earlier. So it's 4 and 5. Our marketing plan, we can cover that later if you care. A case study I just want to go over real quick. The first asset that I ever learned on was 18 units purchased in Dallas for $1 million. There was a single family management company. They got fired, and there was one that came in that was focused on multifamily operations. Section 8 residents were paying about $125. The city paid the rest. Average rent was $600. And the property was nasty after 10 years of not being serviced. I mean, it was gross. There's drug dealing, prostitution was rampant on the property. We evicted some residents and others were not renewed. Our property policy was changed to not accept Section 8 anymore. We're actually doing this on our Amarillo property now, where we have 10 people left out of 111 that are still Section 8. But again, that lapses soon here. So we just change our policy basically, and the entire tenant base changes, start renovations. This project invested $10K per door, so it's $100K on $180K on interiors, $100K on the exterior to fix what is typical for our renovations or amenities: barbecue grill, pergola, controlled access, cameras, painting the property, adding cedar planking around the rails, which makes it look very modern and nice. And then this is the kicker, this is the fun part. We added 12 storage units on the back of one of the buildings. The cost was only $20,000. Check this out. Again, I was talking about NOI equals value. It is a multiple. The NOI is based on a multiple of the value and the cap rate. So of the cap rate, excuse me. So basically in this situation, we spent $20,000, and based on the compressed cap rate at the time, it created another $120,000 in value by spending $10K. So like we just netted $100,000 in the sales price basically by doing that. So awesome. And you can see now that this is really important, that when we're adding these value add features, especially when they produce income. So that was just based on the actual asset itself and the cap rate. Now, if we could then calculate all those storage units individually, then made $12 a month per month times 12 months and added that income in there, I bet you that would be even higher. So essentially what we ended up doing was increasing rents to $950 and then bumping them again to $1,100. And then when all of the renovations were completed, we sold the property in 13 months at a $1.8 million purchase price or sell price. So that was the first one I learned on, and pretty much with some give or take here or there, our other assets really fit this model really close. So essentially just wanted to show you a cool case study. I'm not going to go over this case study, but essentially we had a 1.96 equity multiple on 2 properties that we bought separately, put them together in a portfolio and sold them off together and doubled our investors' money. So you know, like I have one investor in that deal that said, okay, I put in 25K, got 49,000 back, including cash flow, and then also what he got paid out at the end. And so that was a 1.96 equity multiple. Pretty dang good. And that ended up actually selling in 2 years. So we had a plan for 5 years, but sometimes, you know, things happen, you know, good things happen too. So listen here, again, I'll cover again our why really closely, really briefly, because it's just, I want it to be tattooed on your brain. My freedom from abuse and codependency came from my investment activity in real estate. My vulnerability patterns that I kept repeating were finally ended when I finally was able to have my own, have equity, have cash flow. And then once people took more from me, I still was able to be okay and live on my own and take care of myself instead of getting into dangerous, vulnerable positions again and again and again. Many women specifically struggle with mindset shifts and education that it takes to control their independence. Real estate is the fastest way to grow generational wealth, and I have experienced this firsthand. When we understand the risks versus rewards and we have control of our financial destiny, we have control ultimately of our independence in life. It is time to end the bondage and dependence on others and stimulate the economy. Stimulate the economy. Massive benefits come from investing. And that is another reason why multifamily real estate is wonderful, in addition to our actual why and purpose in what we're doing. So I'll show you this in real time in a second, but essentially when you are an accredited investor and you're logging into the InvestNext portal, I also, like I said, if you text me 214-699-8810, you can text me the word accredited and I'll give you the link to this. You create a username and password. Do not lose those. You need them. Once you log in, what's going to happen is you go here to your offerings. Your dashboard would have all these. By the way, this Park Row one closed last year. But essentially you have this Vernafund offering for you. So you'll go into the offerings and you get to click on it and you get to look at all of the different details, investment summary, what shares are available, the the offering documents, which I'm going to show you in a second. But then you can also look at your pre-existing investments that you already have with us and look at your documents, like your K-1 documents or any of your other tax documents that you may need. Your initial, in this case, when you're investing in the Regulation D Invest Next accredited side of the fund, in this situation, you're going to have a PPM, an operating agreement, an investor questionnaire that you need to fill out, and then also your, if I didn't already say that, qualification questionnaire, operating agreement, PPM, and there's one other document that you need to fill out to self-certify what kind of accredited investor you are. It's basically from your CPA, et cetera, that you need to turn in, but your documents would live here basically for any time that you need them. And then of course you have your settings. If you want to turn on your notifications, I suggest that. That's how you're going to be notified. Hey, you didn't set up your ACH and we need to pay you. So we need to have your ACH or your bank information in here. So that'd be something I'd set up from the jump if I was you. And then again, your capital requirements that you can see is that, again, we're doing 50K for a minimum for accredited investors through our portal for Vernafund that is here. And then also 5K minimum for non-accredited investors through our crowdfund. Those crowdfunding investors typically are some of our sophisticated individuals. They'll typically invest about 25 to 30,000 on average. But again, if it's grandma, if it's 20-year-old Kaylee and that's all she has, 100% we can make this happen for her. And then also we have an addition if you're interested in actually investing with our company. If you are an angel investor, we're not taking any VC funds, or if you have a large IRA and you're wanting to keep that tax-free but invest in multifamily so you don't have any UBIT or UDFI tax, you can invest as a preferred shareholder or a pref is what we call you. So you would invest a large chunk of money and be a preferred shareholder. And preferred equity, excuse me. So your preferred equity would be larger. So the minimum for a preferred equity investment would be 100,000. And in this size fund, it would be a little bit larger actually, but we would just basically stick you into the actual asset. And what it will do is a surgeon friend of mine does this a lot, and it keeps his IRA, which is large, invested out of the market and into real estate, but also keeps it completely tax-free. There's no tax on the gain, and then it goes back into his retirement account. So this is something that I would definitely look into if I had a larger account, or if I was like a hard money lender. That's something that a lot of those investors can do to keep it tax-free. And we already went through these. So the investment process is really simple. So as we know, you must get educated first. I mentioned this before. So look at the landing page, watch the videos, look at all the investment documents, look at the deal summaries, look at what we're doing, ask for these presentations. If you like this particular one, you can text me 214-699-8810, the word track record, and I'll send you this one. Once you're educated enough and you've studied, then you can actually get qualified. So that's the first thing you want to do. So if you want to get qualified, that's the first thing you do is text 214-699-8810, the word get qualified. We'll send you a quiz link that will get you qualified. And then you're going to be able to go review the documents, because we'll reach out to you personally if you are accredited. And if you're not, then you would just go to the URL I shared earlier, or that I'll send you when you text. That is, again, apartmentqueen.sspx.io. That'll take you right to the non-accredited page with all the same information. Once you review all the documents, you can go in there and you're going to be able to either watch this webinar later, or you're going to be able in replay, or you're going to be able to get access to an upcoming webinar like this. And if you don't like reading your documents alone, you can put them side by side and listen to this as you review your documents and make sure it all checks out. And then in addition to that, once you're done reading all of your documents, then the next stage would be to sign your documents, and we would countersign and basically transfer funds next. Then, of course, after that, you'll be getting mailbox money from us in your mailbox. And again, you already know that that's paid out after year one, quarterly after year one. So if you're interested in being a limited partner or passive investor in our fund, to get qualified, just text get qualified to 214-699-8810. And then I'll send you this form essentially for you to get qualified. That'll dump you into our list in a place where you'll get access to one or the other. Or like I mentioned earlier, if you already know you're accredited, already know you're sophisticated, or already know you're not accredited, you can text us the word accredited to the same number, or you can text us the word not accredited, same number, and I'll just send you the link to go to your portal. So if you're interested, again, I can send you this deck, but we're working to bring on a warehouse to vertically integrate. And so this is going to solve supply chain and labor problems. So if you're interested in more information of what's coming, that's also attached to this deck. And then we also have a opportunity for those who are in different stages of their financial literacy journey to plug in with us. And so this is on our website, Apartment Queen Ecosystem. So for example, if you're not ready to invest and you want to learn, we have our app, we have our Women Who Invest group. For example, if you are a real estate professional and you already know a little bit, there's underwriting software, there's a program to 1031 funds into our deals as well. So you can also text us 1031 if you have an over $350,000 exchange to roll over. We can do that for you tax-free into our deals. If you're a real estate agent, we also have partnered with EXP to create a revenue share between you and all of our SheVestor agents. There's other resources like our book, for example. So this is putting you into like-minded groups of women who invest and giving you all the resources you need. You can't see this here, but depending on your stage, we have different educational courses. So credit repair, financial literacy for her, or if it's debt consulting, so you have a coach that will help you get out of debt in a year, or whether it's, I don't know if I want to be active, passive, single family, multifamily, wholesaling, assigning, I don't know what I'm doing in real estate, but I know I want to be in real estate. There is a powerhouse program that we have for you that's one of our affiliates. So just kind of want to give you guys an update on like what we're up to. And again, you can contact us by texting us 214-699-8810, any of those things that I had covered before for what kind of assets you want. We check Facebook, no more questions there. So then the last thing I wanted to share with you is I mentioned that in the very beginning, it's really important to have a business plan. So each business plan is going to vary a little bit, but again, I want to get into the nitty gritties of like what we're doing on these assets. And then the last thing I'll do is show you Invest Next. So this is typically how we do things. And when we go to the Invest Next platform, which is hidden at the moment. It's not. We go into the Invest Next platform here. Oh, I'll just take you here. Right here is where I wanted to take you. So I'll show you the back end of your platform when you are on the Invest Next page as an accredited investor. So you'll hit a landing page just like this. And basically it'll tell you why we're doing this. You can invest right away. Or if you already have an account, you can log in. And again, the key information is all right here. The resources, how to subscribe to your shares is right here. The investment summary that I covered before that's on the landing page as well is the same. The investment summary is the same for either side. It just depends on if you're accredited or if you're not. And then also the documents that you need. So I wanted to show you this here. That, for example, if you're like, hey, at any point in time when I log in, so this is not logged in yet. When you put your login, you'll see these same things on the inside, but we make it really clear for you and transparent that whenever we've invested into something, you can actually see, for example, here you can see our Fund Target 1, Fund Target 2 that we closed on. You can see the operating agreement. You can see the PPM. You can see the webinar that we upload here after we close on something. Our business plans, our org charts, anything that you need to see is uploaded as an attachment for documents here. And that's on the Invest Next portal. And so then also when you are not accredited and you get access to the, it is apartmentqueen.sspx.io, that will have similar documents on the back end. But I can't log in right now and show you that. So I just wanted to show you that if you're accredited and you're going to the Invest Next portal, that is where you're going to find that. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is this business plan here, because this is what we do, which is just literally what we do. So this is an example of another investment that we did. So I won't give you all of that, but essentially what we're looking to do is the same business plan here, where we find something that has multiple floor plans. It's unrenovated like this. We want 70% plus classic units like this that have no Shazam, no, amazing backsplash, any of that kind of stuff. And we partner with our CPA, our lender, our attorney, and also a property management company to be able to take over and operate these assets. And this is a typical operational plan that we always execute. So we will re-tenant and improve operations on these properties every time. We'll be working with a professional multifamily property management company. They'll make sure that they manage other properties in the area so that it's very easy for them to know the market. Repositioning these properties into the next increased class of assets. So if it's a C+, B-, We're looking to keep better quality professionals. So in this asset, it was medical professionals, but we're looking to target the best professionals in that area that we can bring in. We want to always improve with exterior improvements and amenities. For example, carports, lockers, barbecue, bench, LED lighting, security gates, cameras, vending, toilet replacement, any kind of water conservation, lighting conservation. Also, we want to improve the interiors. So why we like that 70% plus, because we can leave some meat on the bone for the next buyer. We can do a chunk of the renovations, prove the concept of getting to that next level of rent bumps, and then basically look to sell the property. Or if we have to long-term hold, then we can continue to make more profit, and we have a proven model. So we're looking to find properties that have a minor upgrades done to the properties, and invest in things like flooring that's vinyl, two-tone paint, backsplash lighting, bathroom fixtures, resurfaced countertops. And our exit strategy in this fund is the same as our typical deal, where we're holding from 5 to 7 years. So 5 years is projected. And then we're looking to also have debt on the property that allows us to be able to hold for longer, for just in case we hit a really bad recession or something happens, then we're able to keep the lights on, keep the property in a place where we can continue to pay the debt service or pay the loan on the property and not foreclose. We just keep that property. And then so these properties, no matter what, will always appreciate. So we take these longer loans once we do reposition the property to be able to have access to long-term hold strategy if we need it. We just always want to have contingency plans. Right. And so this is an example of this property where our renovations were including backsplashes. You can't see it here, but changing the floor, the tiling in the bathroom, we changed it to like a marble look. We do a nicer vanity. We've tested this with like some granite as well as some other surfaces. Then also like amenities, like we mentioned, this is what we're looking to put in to these properties to create more income. We always have a renovation budget. And of course, we will be able to have comps on those properties that prove to us that our model works. And then, for example, like on this investment, I'm just going to give you an example. So I'm not saying that this is exactly what you'll get on the full fund, but in an example where you would be getting, this is not the fund, right? But so I guess I shouldn't even go over it because I don't want to confuse you. But what I'm trying to say here is that if we're able to sell these properties at a different exit cap rate than we project, then we're able to make more and more of a better return. So our projections are minimums. So you can see here, if we were to sell this property at a 6.2 cap rate, we'd make you about 15% average annual return. But if we were able to somehow, which is crazy with this market and realistic, sell it at a 5.5 cap, then we'd be able to make 20% annualized return for you. So point is that we project low and then we overperform. So also, we always have an underwriting pro forma for each of these. So you can actually see on the website, we do put our underwriting there, and we're happy to share them when we have them for the upcoming properties. But essentially our underwriting just makes sure that we have around this exact same exit where, again, you're getting 9 to 13% cash on cash. You're getting 15% minimum IRR and 1.75 equity multiple is our target for every asset. If we can't hit that with the assets we're buying, then we don't buy them. It's very simple. So again, we would know obviously on each property what our capital uses are. Lenders typically like to spend 10K or less on these units per unit. And then obviously you want to like focus in these high growth areas or areas where we have a major opportunity and we have over 100,000 people in the population. So we've seen some stuff in West Texas. This one was in Fort Worth. This is not in the fund. It's before I could like hurry and get this fund together. But at the end of this, what I want to end with is, do you remember this slide? That people out there are making crazy decisions where there's $1 billion in a fund in Florida that was actually invested into, it was a full blind pool fund. So you had no idea what kind of assets, what part of the state the assets were going to be in, other states, were they going to be self-storage, were they going to be house notes, was it going to be multifamily? Like people put $1 billion into a fund like this. And so that's crazy, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you have stringent standards that match the 3 that we started in the very beginning of this PowerPoint, I believe that you will see success with us like we've had in the past. Just stick with your principles. So remember what those were. Number 3 gold standard. Number 1, you must have a presently profitable project and must be clearly making profit the day of closing. 2, you must have a playbook or a business plan, as I just showed you, that blatantly shows a clear path to greater profitability and does not depend on the equities market or market economics to make you a profit. And you must have hard evidence of the past of being able to do this. So we just covered that today, right? Absolute operational excellence, proven expertise that can and will drive the project's profit. So with those in mind, if your possible opportunity or your fund comes from a place or a team that fits all these and always has in their projects, then you will win. And the last thing I'm going to cover in this presentation essentially is, I'll stop sharing real quick, is essentially something that I just really need you to think about, right? So there are times like this where some can be fearful, and I want you to remember what Warren Buffett said. So in times of fear, in uncertainty in the market, that's the time to be greedy. That is the time to deploy your funds and go after everything that you possibly can. In the times when people have been greedy, in the past 5-6 years, there's been a ton of money made off of multifamily. There's been a ton of greed in the market. Everyone's been very spoiled with these crazy overinflated prices. For example, in Austin, some properties are inflated up to 50% of their actual value. So that creates an opportunity when we're seeing these properties losing value as the market adjusts, and as they have to soften their prices to adjust for what's happening with our loan rates increasing, right? So what I'm saying here is, now is your opportunity to create the real fantasy that you've always thought about in your life of being able to get rich off of distress, rich off of a recession. Y'all, we are there now, and now is the opportune time to pool our funds together and be able to do what the banks can't do and get involved with assets where we're going to create extreme amounts of value. I can tell you right now that in the next 12 to 24 months, we are going to make the most money that we have ever made in the last 5 to 6 years if we act now. So now is your opportunity to do something for yourself. And again, I will vouch for one investor in our Women Who Invest group who told us that when she was trying to move her funds over from to an IRA in the market or retirement account in the market into a self-directed account, which is how you invest into real estate and alternative assets, that her account lost almost $10,000 in 1 week of waiting for those funds to move because it was based in the market, which you cannot control. Now is the time to take control of your funds that you own. Imagine, I hurt for this. Imagine that account size for you of being $17,000 and you losing almost $10,000 in a week. Like, that would really, really, really hurt me. And I know a railroad engineer, or not engineer, but engineer who had a big account, and he lost over $100,000 in a small amount of time based on the market tanking now. And again, you can't control that. So you can control the team of sponsors that you partner with. You can control looking at assets that are in, like, for example, if this is in your home state, you can actually see these assets, lick them, touch them, taste, like they're real assets. They're not going anywhere, and be able to do something. For example, if you have a pension, teacher retirement savings, another retirement plan, a 401k, a 403b, pretty much anything can be self-directed into a self-directed account, which then allows you the ability to take control of your funds and deploy those into the assets that you choose to withstand the inflationary factors that we see now. And again, put them into real assets that actually benefit from inflation. So yeah, like our rent's going to go up. So yeah, people, for example, can't afford a loan to get into a house anymore. And so they're going to go live in an apartment. Like, there's a lot of things that we've seen happen over and over every cycle that are just going to happen again. So now is the time to take action and to be able to make income for yourself and generationally for your family, to make sure that yourself and your family members see what it's like to keep yourself from being vulnerable financially, and also empowering other women on the properties and those that invest in the fund, learn from the fund, and that will be affected in the community at large by what we're doing, making safer, nicer, affordable communities for families to live in. So thank you for your time this evening. I really appreciate your attention. Again, remember, if you are wanting to spend the minimum for crowdfunding, there are limited amounts of spots so that we can keep that offering legal. And so you must put in your request for shares now. I'll let you know by the number of people that I can see that have registered for this webinar, that are texting me now, that are actually trying to get in the room, but I can't let them in because I'm paying attention to you. Essentially, if I was calculating the number of spots there are available left, that there are more people there are less spots than people that are looking to invest right now, that are present here live online on Facebook. And then also that will be getting this recording after this, that requested it because they couldn't be here. So again, how do we take your funds into these amazing opportunities to be able to preserve your wealth? One, you have a prior relationship with us. You would have already gotten an email blast from us. Two, not only do you have a relationship with us, but you have a certain amount of money that you can invest already. Our accredited side of the fund is already open, so you can invest right now today. You can click on that and get right in. So those would be selected based on relationship. then it would be selected based on the amount of funds that you're investing. And then it would be selected based on your submission of your request or your application for the securities or shares that we're offering to you. So we will review all those and approve based on what I just mentioned, and then be able to approve you and give you these really great opportunities. So I don't want to see any more women miss out on investing because maybe the barrier is too high or they don't qualify. Now everybody does. And we've created a people's fund for multifamily where women are taking money from Wall Street and putting it on Main Street. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. If you have any questions, you know where to text 214-699-8810, either accredited. You can text me accredited, non-accredited, track record, get qualified, or I love you. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to seeing you soon.